Updated, you're live. What's up, everyone? I hope you're having a great night. I'm actually kind of on time tonight. I just got home, had to eat real quick. But tonight we got Collective and Scoot with us. D Zombie's been chilling here. Fumidor High Desert's down there, and then T.O. Hope everyone's having a great night. I brought Coot on because I'm on a different coast than most people, and I wanted him to like explain some of the best sources on the East Coast, like where you can actually build his soil, so we don't have to ship stuff across the country. But yeah, that's about it. Cheers, everyone. I hope you're having a great night. I see Atomic already joined. So what's up, Coot? How you doing?
Good, very good. Thank you for the invite. First thing I would say is those of you in your community, regardless of where you live in the United States, if they have Ace Hardware, which is a franchise system, you can go to acehardware.com and you can buy whatever it is you want, uh, peat moss, sphagnum peat, whatever, even if they don't have it at your local store. And it's every retail operator now has ship to store. You buy it online and you designate what store you want it to go to. There's no charge for shipping and handling. So think of the savings. Plus, you're buying, because you're buying it through a local franchise, you're actually buying locally.
Yeah, someone owns that.
So, yeah, exactly. It's not just a corporation out of New York that owns all the Ace Hardware stores. So that we can get things like, well, alfalfa meal, we can get perlite, we can get sphagnum peat moss. I'm not saying it's one-stop shopping, but what I am saying is that it's another resource to get the materials necessary to create a good soil. Now, you still got to go get your compost and your other things, but who knows what they have? You could run down your list and see how many items you could,
Yeah, knock off the
get from
list.
them. There you go.
Yeah. So I know everyone knows you're about worms and stuff. So how would you keep if you wanted to do a worm bin over here? You got to remember, like you guys, we have winter and it gets fucking cold.
Right.
What would be the best way to keep making your own vermicompost worm castings?
Okay, I want to give a shout out to somebody that I've known for 25 years who has a website called redwormcomposting.com. Name's Bentley. He's up in Alberta, Canada. And this guy has an archive of articles going back 25 years, submitted by people like me and others on different avenues of vermicompost, including in places like Alaska. I won't go through all the processes, but let me give you one example. The one that seems to be the most effective and least cost, that's for damn sure, is that you use bales of straw. So just like they build houses out of straw, a straw bale housing. Well, this is a reduced concept of that, but by using the straw, you create like an igloo. You create a microclimate that'll keep the worms alive during the winter months, and things like that. So I would definitely please go and do research there. You will not find a greater portal as far as he's not trying to sell you anything. Um,
That's good.
anyway, yeah, yeah, it's not a hustle. It's not like, oh, you know what I'm talking about. He's just got a lot of solid information and like plans, how to build a worm bin if you want to go the next. My recommendation is to use smart pots because the big issue with worm bins is that you need aeration, aeration, aeration. And so these plastic bins and things, you're just asking for trouble because they can't breathe. At least use plywood and put some vent holes in it. You know,
I, I've
remember this is an
I've seen people use pallets, the ones with the
oh
slits.
yes, absolutely. And also, if you're going to use like a fabric pot, say like a 50-gallon pot, you want to put it on a pallet, like shipping pallet. You want it off the floor. You want air moving in and out of that thing on all sides. That's your key goal, is to keep the air movement moving in and out of that mass of, what do you call it? Substrate, your bedding, whatever term you want to use.
Um,
And if you do that, you'll be successful. And add I'm not joking. I'm not trying to sell barley. I don't make any money on barley. Put a lot of barley in your bedding to accelerate reproduction, accelerate deconstruction of the organic material. It'll put your worm bin on overdrive, like turbocharge it, seriously. So.
I've been, sorry, I just took a dab. I have a little compost pile I've been starting every year. I'll put some leaves, some grass clippings, some mushroom
Yep.
blocks,
Yep.
and like every year when I go outdoors, I pick a little bit from the compost pile where I put all my mushroom blocks and stuff, and just put it where the so like right around the stem of the plants. Um, but I've been thinking
That's the
like
idea. Yeah.
lately over here, I've been having such a hard time with like humidity's so high. Like I love growing outdoors. I mean, I used to do it as like an outlaw, quote unquote, but like now it's just not fun anymore. Like I'm not doing 100 plants. I'm doing 3 plants, and it always seems by like the flower time, I have like either PM or bud rot started. It's just fucking annoying. So I think that my outdoor, I'm gonna start just doing seeds from now on.
What? Um, okay, but just here's an idea for you to ponder. If you were to work exclusively with cuts, you'd have a known factor. You would have a jump on the seeds, because if you put out from your indoor, put out a full-sized rooted cut, say a foot tall, you're at least 3 to 4 weeks ahead of a seed, which you still have to sex. And here you know what you've got. That's would be my immediate observation. You know.
Yeah, I try to start stuff early and put a decent sized plant outside. But like right now, Fumi stuff's flowering. Probably gonna finish like 2, 3 weeks ahead of everything else. But that actually might finish. But I was looking at all my plants today and I noticed like some mold or like gray mold on like the section where the leaves are connected to the stem, like right in that
Right.
crease.
Wow.
I've been using a lot of lactobacillus and stuff. Oh, we have a question in chat. So, will gypsum go bad in a shed?
Never. Gypsum has been around. When you go get a bag of gypsum, because that's something that just comes out of the ground. It's not manufactured. So it's been around for a few million years. I'm sure that it'll do fine in a shed for, I don't know, a couple hundred years minimum. It couldn't possibly no, it's just calcium and sulfur.
Is there anything in the coots mix that is like perishable? I guess you could say. No, right?
Well, okay, think about the kelp meal. Now, kelp meal is simply the leaves, so they call them fronds. I don't know why. The kelp fronds are pulled out of the ocean. They're rinsed off with clear water, and then they're dried in the sun to a specific dryness level, and then they're ground to a specific size, because there's different applications of kelp meal. So in that regard, you have a piece of plant material that still retains some amount of moisture. I'd have to have the MSDS in front of me, but whatever it is, that tells me that it could become infected, is that the right word? With a pathogenic mold. I could see that happening. It's unlikely. So the main thing with those kinds of plant-based materials, like your seed meals, soybean meal or flaxseed meal or all those, heat is your enemy. So you want to keep them dark and as cool as possible. I don't mean air conditioned. I mean,
What about a dry? Because like some
well,
like over
that too.
yeah, because over
Yeah,
here it's
yeah,
really humid. So like he said,
right.
after I asked, he's like, that's what I was thinking, but the humidity made it a bit softer. Talking about the
That's
gypsum.
Oh well, yeah. It's going to take on water. There's no question about it. I was the only time I was in Boston was many years ago. I did a July and an August, and I remember it well. Okay, brutal, fucking brutal. Yeah,
Today was bad.
humidity like I never experienced before.
Yeah,
So
today was fucking bad. It was really humid
yeah,
here. Almost
yeah.
90 degrees and like sitting at like 75, 80% humidity.
Oh,
And rain
Jesus.
never came. That's the other problem. Like we're so humid and like rain never comes. It's annoying.
I know those weather patterns you're talking about, and it's really uncomfortable. You take a shower, and 10 minutes later you need another one.
Yeah, you get out of the
Uh,
shower sweating.
yeah, yeah, bizarre. So back to where do we find things? Now there's a company in Virginia called Seven Rivers or something like that. Hold on.
I could look it
All right,
up.
and it's numeral rivers. All right, Seven Rivers uh, fertilizer. Okay, hold on.
Seven Springs Farms, maybe.
That's it. Yes,
Okay.
Seven Springs Farm Supply. Um, Definitely, if you're in the area that because they have different locations. But I'm looking. I just went to their webpage. I'm looking at Thorben Kelp Mill. That's one of the top brands. I'm looking at Giles Epsom salts. I wouldn't use it, but if you did, they've got a hell of a price on a 50-pound bag for 26.75. Here's a bag of boron. I got if I never heard boron again, I'd be all right. Here's 50-pound bag of alfalfa, organically grown. How's
3150.
that? Yeah. So I mean, I'm not shilling for them. I'm just saying here's something. Find out their locations, and if you're within a reasonable distance, maybe you could get a better price here than say ordering from Amazon or something. There's elemental sulfur. I'm seeing some really nice. I wouldn't buy everything here. I mean, I wouldn't buy all their products, but the things that I would want to use, yeah,
They do a decent job at collecting everything, kind of like
right. Now, okay, here's potassium sulfate. That's what is in Terminator. $46 for 50 pounds. Now, remember, fertilizers have really gone up since the pandemic. But even still, this is much better than a retail price for a 5 or 6 pound box, the usual retail pack.
how do you feel about like the molasses and stuff for like microbe
Uh,
activity?
um, Not much.
No, everyone talks about it. They add it to their like,
I know. I
I'm
know.
I'm like, why? Like, why are you feeding so much sugars?
You can't. You'll never get an answer that's cogent or even lucid. You get this whole long thing about. I'll give you an example. Okay, let me use a real world example for you. So yeast that we use to make beer is the same yeast used to make bread, and it's a single-celled fungi. So it's not a bacteria; it's a fungi. If you high dose your recipe with sugar or even molasses, okay, you will retard and slow down the yeast action by at least 90%. I'm not saying you can't make bread that's loaded with sugar. What I'm saying is that it's going to retard and slow down the activity and development of the yeast colonies, which gives you your that's what causes your bread to rise, the dough. So it's light and fluffy. All those holes
Yeah.
in a slice of bread, those are pockets of CO2 because yeast are like animals. They take in air, they use the oxygen, and they expel carbon dioxide, unlike plants that do the opposite. So all of that, and that's the same thing that causes the bubbles in beer, is carbon dioxide from the activity of the yeast as it fermented the hops and the barley. So it's the same synergy that we're bringing to the soil when we put barley in is that enzyme action, and those enzymes that aren't important in beer are extremely important to us as gardeners, whereas the two enzymes that are important to beer brewers, amylase A form and beta form,
Doesn't matter.
yeah, nah, Mox Nix. If they came out with a barley that was cheaper and it didn't have amylase in it, I'd buy it. I mean, it's not, the ones we want is the chitinase.
Yeah.
The urease for urea, the protease for protein, the phosphatase. What stoner doesn't obsess about phosphorus? So to have some phosphatase in there as a cofactor of assimilating phosphorus, that's got to be a big selling point, I would think, in the world of cannabis growers.
I think the only thing I go in excess with is probably the I use an excessive amount of lobster and crab compost.
No, you can't.
Okay, good.
That's a first cabin product. The what the lobster and crab shells are offering is chitin,
Yeah.
and you already know that deal. So that's another reason to use barley is that the chitinase, which is what we want, it's not the chitin that we want, it's the chitinase because chitinase deconstructs the eggshells of insects in the soil. It does a whole number of other things. So by having that, a person doesn't have, say they were in the Midwest and getting your wonderful lobster compost or even crab meal. Crab meal is expensive, where limestone's like $12, $13 for 50 pounds. Crab meal is more like 45, 50. See what I mean? For 50 pounds. And crab meal is limestone too. It's calcium carbonate, but it has these layers of chitin that hold the layers together. Because when you have lobster shell, if you were to take a diamond saw and cut it, you'd see layers, right, of limestone, and then brown. That brown is the chitin. Chitin is a
Oh,
form of
okay.
glucosamine. Yeah, it's a form of glucosamine. It's a polysaccharide, uh,
Okay.
cellulose, whatever term you want to use. It's just different names for the same thing. Depends who you're talking to, a chemist or a soil person. So that's the other reason for using barley is that we're getting that chitinase. Now you don't have that problem. There's other reasons to use barley, but not for the chitinase because you got access to this wonderful compost where crab and lobster meal shells are an integral part of their recipe. And so you still want to use barley, but not just because it has chitinase. That's all.
I use barley too. Like I top
Right.
dress barley, I don't know, once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, a little bit. I know Fumi fucking puts a shit ton on his stuff. Fumi is a barley freak over there. I mean, I use it, but I use more compost and worm castings. I kind of, when I put barley down, I mix it in with a lot of the time, like mycelium blocks to
Oh yeah.
try to
Fuck
get it
yeah.
all, yeah, try to get it all
Yeah.
fucking in there at
Yeah.
the same time and breaking down together, kind of harmonic, whatever word you want to
I
use.
can make this promise. I can make this promise to you. Your soil is far better than your circle of friends because when you can get that level of fungal development in your soil, it's easy to get, excuse me, it's an easier path to get bacteria and protozoa colonies in our soil. Fungi is a different story because it's a whole, like, big, different part of the whole microbial thing.
Yeah. Like I
And
seen all the microbial products and I didn't understand them at first because I was like, you can get microbes from so many other things. Like
thank you.
why the fuck
Thank,
like I don't know. When I saw it, like I shout out Noob grows in chat. He tossed me a little bit of recharge, some of Scotty stuff from DGC. It's a molasses based whatever.
I know, I know.
I used it and I didn't see any more benefit than I would with like a good dosing of barley and or mycelium block or anything else.
Thank, thank you.
Even if you went
I'll tell you,
outside and grabbed like leaf mold and top dressed it, you'd probably have better luck.
bingo. Okay, let me just ask you a question. So whenever you a person buys barley, they've been at, excuse me, molasses, we'll use that one because that's the favorite, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, so they always say you got to have unsulfured, right? Which
Yeah.
is accurate. I'm not arguing that; it's accurate. But the question that I asked myself one day was, well, why is it unsulfured and not desulfured? In the world of government regulations, words have meaning. They may seem stupid to the layperson, and that's okay. But there is a distinct difference between undoing something and de-doing something. And here's the difference. Unsulfured means that at some point somebody added sulfur to the mix.
I use Epsom salts.
No, wait a minute. No, this is to get the sugar out of the
Oh,
sugar
okay.
cane. And they use sulfur dioxide, which is what causes acid rain. So when you take sulfur, which is sulfur oxide, and burn it, now you have sulfur dioxide. And that's how they use to pull it out of the sugar cane. Now the flavor, if you're wanting sweet, sulfur wouldn't be on my hit list. Okay, so they unsulfur it. If it were already there, inherent in the plant, which for reasons that aren't really important would almost be impossible to have a flowering plant produce sulfur at some uber level, then it would be desulfured.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's my
Huh.
first objection. And the molasses is limited now to the beet, sugar beets, which is now 99 point something percent Monsanto.
Oh, okay.
And they were able to do it in like 3 years. So if you buy these unsulfured retail sulfur, or excuse me, molasses products, you're not basically, you are buying Monsanto GMO beets, period. In a discussion. So is it worth it? I don't think so. And then you get into the other sweeteners like say honey. That's a wonderful idea until you look at the reality that honey has been used for thousands and thousands and thousands of years on injuries because they didn't know this, but it's antibacterial properties. Why would you want to put an agent that kills bacteria in your soil? So we'll take honey off the list. Okay, yeah, you see where I'm going with this? I mean,
I like honey for
this,
clones.
yeah, so it's one
I
of those things. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
I tell
You
people
know,
I'm like honey is antibacterial for the fact that uh they use it to like something
cloning, the
yeah something
cloning gel.
so
Yeah,
the bees use it for like their in larva too. So like they like it's hard for anything to outcompete it, like grow mold on it because it is a sugar based product. Um,
right.
Cry more insect frass. says pretty much is insect frass okay for the worm bins?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Worms can deconstruct, excuse me, worms don't do it. The microbial colonies in the worm bin, especially like what you do with the fruiting blocks, if you were to take your worm bin and add, like you do your soils, fruiting blocks, uh, here's how it works. So by inoculating your worm bin with fungi from the fruiting blocks, once those colonies are established, it attracts other fungal colonies. So that by the time, after a few weeks, you have or you're developing a vermicompost that is as rich and full of microbes of fungi colonies as you are bacteria and protozoa. And now you're dancing. So when you make a potting soil out of something of that caliber, you'll find that you won't need uh, much in the way of what would be traditionally considered soil amendments. I'm not saying cut them in half or anything. I'm just saying you'll watch and see that, wow, I don't have to do anything anymore.
I kind
So,
of, cause so Fumi adds, I think he's got worms in his pots, and since I got two 20s, a 10, and a 7. I was thinking of maybe grabbing like a pound of worms and spreading them out between the pots.
good idea.
I figure,
Absolutely.
I figure why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the going rate is, but if you have problems or want a fair price, get a hold of the guy that Fumidor and I shop at, Northwest Redworms in Camas, Washington, and tell him Coot sent you. I was one of his first customers, so when he got started years ago. And he's honest. If you buy a pound of worms, you get a pound of worms, not a pound of something with some worms in it. A pound of bedding and
And you
all,
probably get
the
some
usual
cocoons
bullshit.
and everything.
Absolutely, all the time, always, always, always. You get cocoons. So, in your worm colony will consist of new hatchlings all the way up to producing adults. So once a worm hatches, it takes like 5 to 6.5 weeks, and each cocoon will contain, I don't know who counts this shit, but 3.8 on average, 3.8 worms. And anyway, within 5 or 6 weeks there, when they start processing material right away, I mean 24/7 for the next 5 or 6 years, they never stop. And they become sexually mature within 6, 7 weeks, and they're going to produce when they're fully mature 2 cocoons a week, but even beginning 1 cocoon a week. So think how fast, because the original parents, they're still pumping out, because I didn't explain, worms are hermaphrodites, but they can impregnate themselves. So two worms line up, they exchange body fluids, and they each go their own way, and they each drop a cocoon. So there are no males or females per se in that particular subspecies.
Someone asked, so they would like you to build like so. I know we know you use a smart pot. What would your ideal material for bedding? Like, how would you build a worm bin?
Oh, okay. Almost like soil. So you want an aeration amendment. So whatever you're using now, just don't complicate things. And the best thing you can get is aged manure, which means it's been sitting outside for 4 to 6 weeks, and that allows the worm medicine that they give livestock to degrade. So because it kills all worms, not just the ones in the gut of the animal. But the best thing you can use is compost. Compost that's gone through the thermophilic cycle, meaning they took it up to like 141 degrees, and that clears out all the pathogens. It doesn't really compost anything, but it does clear out the pathogens. It's the next step that is actually the composting, what is called the mesophilic, and that's between 70 and 100 degrees, and you start adding things that start building the microbial colonies. So if you have Craigslist in your area, that's the best place to
I
look
had the
for.
I did that the other day. My boy in Sacramento, well, area, we'll say that. Sacramento area was like, I need good compost and worm castings. I was like, search Craigslist, and if Craigslist doesn't work, I hate to say this because I hate Zuckerberg, but Facebook Marketplace has really overtaken like
I'm
the secondhand
I'm gonna
shit.
that part of California. There's a famous turkey operator that have been around for 100 years, family owned, and they make compost and therefore soil out of the turkey manure. And it's a German name, Dietzel, Deitzel, something like that. But you'll find it, Dietzel Turkey Farms. And one of the great grandsons decided to make a business out of the manure. I mean, I'm pretty smart. And so people that I know that do soil, not soil testing, like testing of materials, organic inputs. How's that? Always rate this extremely high. So there's another source. Thank you for reminding me. Anyway, yeah. So that area I know pretty well, and so you can buy either the raw compost or they have a potting soil product.
Okay.
So there's an idea for people in that part of the world.
Yeah, he's saying he was having a hard time. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll help you, man. I'm really good at like searching for stuff like that. Um, yeah, shit. I
Yep, good folks. Yeah.
so someone
The other thing is check most, not all, most states have within their Department of Agriculture an organics branch. Oh, wait a minute, let me back up. Here's the best way. In your part of the world, go to a farmer's market on the weekends and talk to the producers. Everybody wants to talk about themselves. And just got to ask them, say, hey, where do I get amendments? And then start taking notes. They're going to know everybody in that area. Oh, Farmer Bob's got the best compost, and oh yeah, here's this farm store over here, and that's how you do it.
I was
Stay away from.
there was a guy. It was at Turktown Throwdown. It was at my Naturals Collective booth, and we're hanging out. And this guy had like a huge banner saying "Regenerative Cannabis." And I went to go
Oh
talk to him.
God.
Yeah, wait, this is even funnier. I went to go talk to him, and I was like, "So, how do you? What's your base soil mix? Like, what do you use?" I was like, "Is it a Coots?"
Huh.
I was like, "Is it a Coots mix?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I stopped using Coots mix. It was too expensive."
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I looked at him like, "What the?" I was like, "Well, I get it. What are you bringing everything in house?" He's like, "No, I still buy stuff, but." And my mind just was
Yeah.
blown. I'm like, "All right, whatever. I'm
Mm.
done. I'm done talking. Here's some real organic weed."
Yeah. Here's a expression for you. You might want to for those kinds of situations. The definition of a cynic is one who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And when I hear people whining about what it costs to put a soil together, my first question is, so what are you getting on per ounce out of your crop? And that usually shuts them up.
So yeah, pretty much put compost in like a smart container and make sure you use a good amount of aeration material when
Yeah,
you're building your worm because that's like the key. You got to make sure they can breathe.
that's right. And that's why it's not going to smell. And the reason I like the fabric pots is that you can overwater, and it's the worst you're going to have is you got to clean up, excess water. It's not going to stay in the root zone and cause you problems, increasing pathogenic bacteria, well, microbes in general, not just bacteria, but the microbes in general. And now you got problems. Now you got root gnats. Now you got a roof aphid. Just it goes on and on and on.
See, I always
Uh,
get worried bringing in. How do I say this without sounding like a dickhead? Non in-house stuff. Like
mhm,
I don't want to get whatever bugs they have at their fucking place, good or bad.
right.
Because most of the time it's going to be something bad that attacks my garden because I don't have it. I've seen people actually like run gardens with aphids, like a small amount of aphids always.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how do you
Well,
how do you do it?
I I took care of this years ago with the addition of neem and karanja meals in my soil. And I make no apologies. During veg, I spray every plant with a 2 parts neem to 1 part karanja meal, excuse me, oil combination. And, you know, when I first started posting on cannabis boards several years ago, out of sheer boredom, I had to look a lot of this shit up. I didn't know what they were talking about, like, roof aphids, root aphids, and fungus gnats, and it just goes on. I mean, I knew about spider mites. You can't be in this part of the world and grow indoor outdoor and not know what spider mites are.
Yeah,
Just
same over
you know,
here.
yeah. And here's why we have such intense problems with both powdery mildew and mites is that not the biggest, but a large part of our economy here is nursery stock, like $2 billion. That's a lot of plants. And plants come from all around the world. That's what you do when you're in the nursery. You've got to offer your clients because you're selling to like the ones in your neighborhood or your community where you go buy your stuff, your garden stuff. Well, a lot of that comes from states like Oregon and California. And so they bring in plants from all around the world and have for 140 years. Well, guess who came along for the ride on the plants out of wherever? The mites and the powdery mildew. So there's around the world, there's almost, I'm going to round up a little bit, not much, about 110. There's 4,000 varieties of powdery mildew around the world. And west of the Cascades between Canada and down to Northern California, well into Northern California, say the middle of Sacramento, there's over 400 varieties. We have 10% of the entire world's entire array of powdery mildew, and some of them aren't even white, like apple. You ever heard of black scab?
Yep.
Well,
I tell
that's a
people that
powdery
all the
mildew.
time. I say, and I tell people all the time, listen, if you're standing somewhere, there is PM in the air,
That's right,
especially in high humidity climates.
right. Well,
Like,
it doesn't. No, that's what's remarkable is that the two most studied problems in agriculture and horticulture around the world is number one is powdery mildew, and number two is spider mites. And there's actually 3 varieties. North America only suffers through one primarily, the red spider mite. But that's in other parts of the world. It's a couple
the two
others that also.
two spotted spider mite or something like that. I heard about. I think two, something like that.
Yeah, but and the other thing about powdery mildew being a pathogenic fungi, they adapt very easily to shifts in. You find it everywhere in the universe, everywhere, and it has really nothing to do with was it relative humidity (RH). Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it has far more to do with the defense systems of the plant and its overall health because plants have two primary systems. One's SAR and the other one's HAR, and the SAR is systemic acquired resistance, and the other one is hormonal acquired resistance. And those are subjects that would take hours to discuss. But in Reader's Digest version, is that the systemic acquired resistance is the resistance that the plant builds up from the soil and the exchange of ions and the efficiency with which that moves around. The HAR, the hormonal, involves genetics, but what always gets discussed in cannabis is always phenotype. You've heard that since the second day you were involved in this, right?
Yeah.
Pheno. But you very seldom hear a discussion
Gino.
about geno
Yeah.
because that's to a great extent, the cultivator, whether it be a farmer, whatever, the cultivator is responsible for setting up the environment that these plants and the systems employed to grow this plant. That would be, I think, in my own opinion, phenotype plays a more important role than, genotype plays a more important role than phenotype.
I agree. I completely agree with
You can have the best genetics in the world
that. Sorry.
and still grow really bad plants, whether it be vegetables or cannabis or whatever.
Um,
Your grocery store proves that every day. Just go down and find a good tomato. Let me know how that works out.
I started
Yeah.
to add lacto to my soil too. Lactobacillus acid. Shout out Dirty Indica. Um, he makes lactobacillus and he'll send me a big jug and I'll add it to my water and just water it into the soil. So that's something else I've been using as like a amendment, I guess you could say, fungal dominance.
Uh huh. Well, it's bacteria, but that's neither. That's not. Here's another way to do it. Do you like yogurt?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you buy the real deal, not with all the bullshit in it, but real, just read live cultures. That's what you want to see on the
Yeah,
label,
you
and
remember
you
when I
want it
showed you? I showed you like a 1 ounce packet of just lactobacillus, 50 billion cultures.
right. But if you just take yogurt, that kind of yogurt, and put it in a cheesecloth and hang it, well, what comes off the liquid is called the whey. And that whey is lactobacillus culture. In fact, it's used to make ferments like hot chili pepper sauce, like Tabasco sauce. You puree
Oh.
your peppers and you add that as your fermentation agent. You can do it with salt water too. I mean, there's different approaches. I'm not selling one over the other, but I'm just saying if you like yogurt, you can make it more not as loose and save that liquid and use it for you could dilute it down and use it on your plants if as another source of lactobacillus. That's all.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
They, yeah.
I sometimes I'll think it's lemonade in the simply. Yeah, that's the color of it.
It does. It looks like
Nate was
margarita
right.
mix. It looks like margarita mix. Jesus.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Does anyone have any questions in chat? Just put them in the chat too.
Can you were talking about genotype and phenotype. Can you break those down? Can you define those for us? And
Sure. Okay, so your phenotype is the specific combination of genes. And just like, say, you take a family and they have 4 kids, that's a good number to kind of illustrate what I'm saying. I mean, we all have known large families, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes the brothers and sisters look alike, and other times you just think,
No.
yeah, really, yeah, the banjos start playing in the background. So that's phenotype. That's a specific combination where you take a male and a female, whatever species, and breed them. The combinations will
Make
be
an
different.
offspring. Yeah.
Yeah. In spite of what seed breeders want to tell you that, oh, we've stabilized this. Study George the monk Mendel and discuss Mendelian inheritance sometime, but it's just absurd. But that's what pheno hunting is. You're trying to find the combination, whether it be canopy height, whatever parameters you were breeding towards, or trying to find in a pack of seeds. Whatever's and for your growing conditions and your history you're looking for a specific phenotype. Genotype refers to the environment. We can take anything can be involved, airflow, source of the light. Are we talking sunlight? Are we talking artificial light? If so, what are we talking? HIDs? Are we talking, LEDs? The whole spectrum. Then we get into soil. So you can see there's a lot more factors in the stuff that you can control. You can't control the genes very much, but you can control almost everything in terms of the genotype. It kind of like depends on how much money do you want to throw at it, wisely or otherwise, wisely or unwisely, I guess.
Excuse me. It's kind of funny when you narrow, like, I finally got the downstairs pretty stable. It doesn't move much, takes a decent amount of electricity and work to do it, but my grow area is stable. I control the heat and the humidity.
There you go.
I think that's something.
Now you're maximizing. See, that's where genotype comes in, because by controlling those factors, you're in a better position to maximize the genetic potential in its phenotype. Am I making sense on this?
Yeah, the plants have a certain range that they do best in.
Right.
It's a proven
Right.
fact.
Right. Well, and not just by name or strain,
Yeah.
but that specific combination of genes. Just like you and I, you don't look like me, I don't look like Dee, and thankfully I don't look like a lot of people, and vice versa. God, I wouldn't want to look like that old asshole. So I'm just saying that, just like in seeds, let's get out of cannabis because it's always too emotional. You get all this whining and crying. Let's say you and I went to a store and we bought the same brand of tomato seeds, and we got say 250 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let's say that you went home and you planted all 250, and I went home and we're talking the same brand, the same strain,
Yeah,
and I plant 200.
Same place.
Yeah. And I plant mine in my raised beds. Don't you think that we'd have a hell of a time comparing the different phenotypes out of our various, just within our own gardens, but much less if I drug some over to your house and vice versa? It'd be like, what, really? I mean, there's that much. That's why, in my view, working from a cut, you kind of you've eliminated a variable.
That's actually stable.
Yes. That too. All factors involved in the phenotype. But once you find, as the phrase goes, the keeper or keepers, whatever, it's a known factor, so you can plan around its good points as well as its not so good points. How's that?
What was I thinking?
How you doing, Kush?
That's what I had on my mind. LEDs.
Okay. I'm the wrong guy.
You like them?
I know nothing. Oh, I'd like them. No, that's not. I wouldn't even describe it like that. I think I really missed the boat. Especially for me or people in my position, I've had this strain forever. So I've grown it under every, latest whiz bang that came out of Hortilux and Philips. Okay, think about it. Philips alone makes over 1,000 bulbs,
mm-hmm.
of different light bulbs. I mean, not just. I don't mean for
growing, but like in general.
Yeah, in general, 1,000 bulbs. Think about that. Everything from the lights in your car to your refrigerator. The stadiums. And so, but I've never seen any plants respond. This is like sunlight. This is like I'm in a greenhouse, literally. And with all the things that you save, like not having to have cooling systems, you still want air movement. I mean, no question about that.
It's easier to move the air because at the peak of like the HPSs, they were like maybe over 200, 300 degrees, these LEDs run at like 120, maybe 150.
Where? I've had my hand right on it.
It's there. It's
I
on.
can't even. Okay.
It's there. They
Okay.
do get hot, but if you
Okay.
have air running across it, they stay kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I do because I left in the I have a Infinity AC Infinity system.
Hmm.
You got the carbon filter thingy, and
Yeah.
and so I had that in there when I was running CMHs. So I left it. I mean, it's already there. No reason to take it down. So I do have a lot of air because I really put a monster. I got the biggest one AC Infinity made because I really believe in air movement.
I think I got like
In and out.
6 fans in my little 5x5. I'm right there with you. Air
Right.
movement, air movement, air
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah. You're right. Because if you go out in a meadow or even a farm or even in your front yard, and you just stand and watch your plants for about a half hour, and what you'll see is that there's a constant movement of all the leaves, ever so slight, but it's that air moving across it. And I'm of the opinion, no, a belief, that the more air that we can safely move across our plants, it's like when you don't have that, it's like restricting the ability to breathe on yourself or an animal.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not saying to the point where,
no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Coot.
No, 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 no. All I was saying is that, just trying to emulate what goes on outside, with sunlight and all of its benefits.
I love watching my outdoor plants. You can watch the leaves follow the sun across the sky.
Exactly.
With my LEDs, like a lot of the time I've noticed the HPSs always prayed upwards like this.
Right. Right.
But with my LEDs, I've basically gotten any strain I put in there just to lay flat and suck up as much light on that leaf as it can. Because I think if it's at an angle, it's trying to funnel in photons or whatever. So like I think you can run these LEDs lower, closer, and the light is spread out way more than any of the light bulbs. It's just how it is. I've ran and this isn't coming from someone that hasn't ran HPS or CMH. I had one of the ballasts that used to be able to switch back and forth. Like I fucked
Right.
around with a lot of shit. Like and LEDs was a game changer. It changed the game. It did. For me
Now,
at least.
in all fairness, though, Smash, the first 5 years wasn't
Garbage.
exactly their best
Yeah.
moment. Fuck.
Those blurple
I mean,
LEDs, a lot of people fell trapped
oh
for those.
yeah, I know that the blue, purple, red thing. Yeah, I remember that. I just kind of sat back going. I watched what the industry was using, not the cannabis sector. And when the big giant players out of Amsterdam manufacturers, because they grow food and flowers. I mean, it's commercial stuff. When they finally introduced what I would call the professional level LEDs, then, but I was never prepared for this.
Hmm. And I think
I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for the price either.
so. Yeah,
When
yours are up there. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Jesus,
Timber
yeah,
has always timber's been around forever, for real,
oh,
forever. Like I remember before I even seen some of the Chinese lights that came out, Timber was doing stuff with cobs,
oh really? Oh
and
really?
I was a fan of cob lights.
Are
Um,
those hot?
yeah, they run a little bit hotter.
Okay,
It's pretty
okay.
much a bunch of little diodes really close together.
Oh, I know what they are. I just wondered. they're not as hot as an HPS, but they're not as cool as an LED. Is that kind of
I
what you're
think,
saying?
yeah, they run a little bit hotter. They're not as efficient either.
Okay,
They're
okay.
more
No,
so they're
I
more
was just gonna
efficient than
use it.
HPS. They're less efficient than, I believe, the white light LEDs.
Well, I was thinking of just using them for seed production. So
They'll
I
work.
don't, once
Yep.
they're been
Well,
pollinated,
if
you
I can
don't
just jump
need.
in, there's lots of cobs that are white light LEDs. For example, my lights are, well, I guess most of them are PLC 6s, PLC 420, stuff like that. Those are white light cobs. So that was the CXB 39. Fuck, it's been years. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, they were
Long story short,
30,
plenty of watt.
35K when they
And
first came out.
also the cobs have better penetration, I think, than the panels. That's still their biggest advantage. Back to you guys.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, it's a more so with the cobs, it is a more focused spotlight. So I think it could potentially give you more penetration, but I think with the big 5 watt LEDs on like my panel, I don't even like I really do like the panel I have, but I wish I bought a bar style. Like it would have filled out the 5x5 a little bit better. You know what I mean? Kind of drag the PPF across the whole thing. Because even
Right,
still,
right,
my
right.
my board is centralized. They have, I think, like 600 LEDs on there or something. I would have to look at the fucking spec sheet, all bundled up. I think I get pretty good penetration directly under that light and a little bit to the sides, but it dies off really fast.
So Jeremy Silva made arrangements for me to talk to the founder and CEO fellow research
Of timber,
at Timber.
that's cool.
Yeah. Well,
I
come to find out, he uses the coot mix, and
That's a good start.
yeah. And I warned. So after a few minutes, I stopped him. I said, "Hey, I got to explain something. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I don't know diddly squat about anything you're talking about. Because I mean, he's running numbers, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck." I said,
The
"I'm a soil guy, so just tell me, is this gonna, So he starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah, don't." He says, "Don't start talking to me about soil. I'll be in trouble." That kind of thing. He says, "I'm a light guy." So we just kind of agreed that the other person knew what they were talking about. We'd accept it at face value. But it was really interesting talking with them how long they had worked on developing their product lines and their different versions. But they had some really nice cobs. I heard through Jeremy up until about a year ago, so it was still a popular.
Yeah, they ran them forever. That was one of Timber's big sellers for a long time.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Yeah,
Cob
I didn't
lights.
know who they were, but
Yeah, you got a good light for sure. That's well built, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
Well built and someone
Hey,
honest.
hey, I'm 71. And I was able to put it together correctly thanks to Jeremy's video and get it hung without,
Shit,
reinventing the wheel.
you could do about anything nowadays for YouTube videos. Google it, and you'll find a
Exactly.
video on it.
I know. It's like, this part you wanted at this angle.
Yep.
What it came down to is had to have the dimmer switch at the front of the tent. So as soon as you start to unzip it, you can reach in and turn the light down. So
Oh
you're
yeah.
not.
Yep. I tried
I
to turn
still
mine
wear
down.
the glasses you guys recommended. I got those, but it still get it down. And I'm diabetic. Last thing I need is pressure on my eyes. That's one of the weak spots in a diabetic's body. So
I
no
have a
use.
really. I keep noticing when I'm driving at night, the lights flare on me. Like it
Hmm.
might be my window. Maybe it's just old and pitted.
Yeah.
Because I do have a
Yeah.
97. I don't know when the fucking window's ever been changed. If it has.
God, that's 25 years ago. I remember 97. Fuck.
I gotta say this. So since Coot came on tonight, we had a good interview. I'm gonna do a giveaway. So if you're listening, to enter the giveaway, you have to join chat. That's it. Back to you. Let's say hi to Kush. Kush, what's up, man? How you been?
Hey, good guys. Yeah, just saw you around, so yeah, jumped on. I keep forgetting Monday nights you share, so happy
Yeah,
to be here.
Mondays 9 p.m. I try. Well, I'm kind of just as bad as we do it on the chronic table. Couple minutes after 9 normally.
Wait a minute.
No,
I just realized something today. I mean, you've told me long ago, where you live, and I know that you're not in my time zone. I'm not that, out of it. But I just realized when you guys start that show on Tuesday and, well, you know, whatever nights, it's after 11 o'clock.
Saturday
So for
nights
you
is
to,
11. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. So by the time the show's done,
I'm dead.
the sun's coming up. I mean, Christ Almighty.
Yeah.
I always
That's
say good
dedication.
night and good morning.
Yeah, that's dedication, man.
We
Christ.
used to, before you started to jump on a lot, me and Fume used to go. There's some other people involved, but morning to like nighttime to morning, like we'd get a whole international crowd coming in. It was cool because we could physically watch like the people wake up and go to sleep and shit. It was so crazy.
And I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think one time I went to bed and it was so early in the morning when I got up. I came on and you guys were still on one time.
Fuck.
Shit, when
That
the
was a while ago
conversation's
though.
good, it's hard to
Yeah.
shut it down. People really, and the thing is, people hang out with us, like there's always
Yeah.
a group in chat chilling and talking. And when people start leaving, other people wake up.
Bud's always a good one for me because we come out of the same area. I, I was within 70 miles of his stomping grounds. And I mean, in terms of the culture, the drug culture, like, well, not the drug sense, in, like, it was the cannabis and LSD culture, not sit around and shoot heroin and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, some of us did, so that's not exactly accurate, but
I've
it
actually
wasn't.
watched the festival culture change to harder drugs. It was crazy.
Yeah, pretty sad.
Cause I'm like, I really do like going to
The,
festivals.
the flower children went to seed. So,
Um,
so anyway, so check this out. So we'll take a 4x4 with a timber light, and I want to run 5 plants in 20-gallon pots to maximize branch development, and then pollinate it. Use that as a pollination chamber. All the plants being TO cuts, and then hit it with a Pacalolo. And then take those seeds and then pick out the best male and breed it back to the original mother. That's what I meant. But I think with 5 plants under an LED with that kind of light and penetration of the lower branches, you could really get some massive seed production.
oh, for sure. I've done seed runs under T5s. Perfectly fine. I've
Yeah.
actually been thinking about building a breeding chamber, like buying like a 30-gallon tote, a clear one, flipping it up
Mm-hmm.
on its side, putting
Mm-hmm.
a HEPA filter and a fan, so the pollen doesn't come out, but there's air movement coming in and out. So you'd have one on
Right.
both sides blowing in and one blowing out, both with HEPAs. And then I was thinking, I have like LED strips around my room, and they make stronger ones. I was thinking of maybe putting like sticking LED strips along like the sides of the whole
Right.
tote.
Yeah. Don't laugh. You can get it at IKEA.
Oh no,
If you
for
got an
sure you
IKEA
could.
store in your, yeah.
Um, I really do it. I really want to make a breeding run.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
Um,
that's an important part of, especially for personal use growers, is find a good genetic line and work that yourself. And don't be dependent upon a breeder of who you don't know or have no control over what direction they go, if they even know. Um,
that's
it
the
isn't
other thing.
rocket science, you know.
Seeds, like, I won't pay more than $10 a seed. Like, even still, like, I even clones, I don't find value over $200 for anymore.
What's the going price for a clone? Oh, say a popular.
Where are you?
Uh,
Hold on, let's ask this. Where are you?
oh, really?
Yeah,
What's it like in your part of the world?
I've seen people selling the apple fritter I have for 300.
Okay, all right.
Some other
That makes,
cuts were over
yeah.
a
I
thousand.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what a cut.
There,
Yeah, it couldn't be much with all the dispensaries and whatever. I just mean, it's a big business. So
It is. It's crazy. Over here's a little bit
it,
weird too. Go ahead, D. Sorry.
That's okay. I was just gonna say it's about $300 cut for the apple fritter, the one that you had.
Yeah, I can. I don't even want to show the menu. I looked at the menu today. There's a couple things for 1,000, a couple things for 1,500, and I'm like,
Holy fuck!
they're definitely not worth that though. Like, I could probably have Fumi go to archive and send me a cut, or let's not say Fumi, but someone go to archive and send
D.
me a cut. Like for
right, right,
50
right,
fucking
right,
bucks. Everything that they're trying
right.
to sell for a ton of money.
That's fucking crazy.
Um, so how long have you had TO? Like, how long has it been?
Be this January be 39.
Holy fuck. And like, I know you're gonna say no, but let's just get rid of the skeptics now. Let's talk about genetic drift a little
Oh, we're gonna turn this into a comedy. Okay, sure.
bit. Just
Hey,
explain.
did you hear the one
People
about?
believe
No,
in it.
did you
I'm
hear
like,
the
it
one
doesn't.
about the priest and the rabbi and the bishop walking down the street? What? Go ahead.
It's just
Go ahead.
I don't. How do I say it? I don't really believe it. I never have. I'm like, dude, I've heard of people keeping cuts for like you 30 plus years, 20 plus years, and the thing staying the same. I think the
Yeah.
plant might have got sick or something and it changed, or your environment changed drastically, but
Okay.
I've never heard of genetic
This is
drift.
this is my best analogy for you. People who are into bird hunting spend money that you're gonna it'll be hard for you to fathom what they will spend on a dog. A fully trained, pedigree retriever, a setter, a pointer. I'm not exaggerating. From the right kennel, it can run as much as 100 grand. It's for the wealthy set with their $10,000 shotguns and that kind of thing. So you could take that dog and take it home, and the new owner for this puppy stops off at Walmart to get a bag of Old Roy dog food. Okay, and you could chain it up outside like it's an asshole dog, and you've greatly diminished that animal's capabilities of performing like you would want if you were going to spend that kind of money on a dog. It would be ludicrous to blame that on genetic drift. How about willful disregard for the genetics involved? If you hop around from soil to soil and new program from new program, I'm sure that you get a lot of problems. I'm sure you do. But that's nothing to do with genetics. That's to do with we're back to genotype. You suppress the phenotype expressions by your lack of attention to the growing conditions that you're providing for that plant. Does that answer your question? I also think it's a scam run by breeders to sell you more seeds. Oh, well, you need the updated version
I
2.x.
technically,
We got the.
I could argue that with the whole autoflower game too. Like
With the what?
the autoflowers, so you can't clone them. You can physically like never have a cut of it. So like you have to always buy seeds.
Oh yeah, that's what my refusal to get involved with that is exact. I don't want to be dependent upon Joe the grower in Pig's Knuckle, Arkansas. His next strawberry banana mix or something.
And the damn autoflowers, all they want to sell you is the feminized side. They won't even give you the male line, so you can't even make your own.
Yeah, I
You
think
could do it.
I had some limited edition regulars, but I got rid of them. But I don't know. I do like feminized seed, like photo period. Just because, like, if you do keep within your numbers, like if Coot keeps a cut, the feminized seeds kind of what helped me keep my numbers where they are. Like I don't go over,
Right, right.
And
But my point is that if you work with something that hasn't been fucked with that much, okay, you can keep it around for years and years and years until you find something better. Then you replace it. You don't need to be throwing money at. I mean, some of these guys make claims that I just wonder if we're on the same planet. I mean, anyway.
Dude, there's a breeder and he goes live on Instagram and he makes people dump milk on their head for seeds. So, trust me, I've seen crazy.
I guess that old expression, whatever blows your hair back, really applies to this guy, huh?
Supposedly he has some really good seeds, but I would never pay the money he asks.
Okay, so like a desired strain, what would that cost somebody for a pack of seeds? A typical price in this deal.
$100.
So
$100.
Oh, really?
average,
$10 a seed.
no, well,
Oh,
there's breeders that charge way more though.
okay. No, but 100, that sounds about right.
That's like the average, like.
I'm not saying fair. I'm just saying that makes sense from a business standpoint,
So I've seen packs of seeds go for 250, 500. Like there's been expensive seeds before.
Mm.
I know Exotic has some packs that are 200, I think 250.
But you definitely need a good name.
New Grows probably knows some crazy prices for seeds. He's in chat. Let us know.
See, I could come up with a great name for a seed company. That's not a problem. The strain's not so much, but I definitely could do the name of the company, something like Shithead Genetics or.
I got one, Coot. I'm going to name mine Fly by Night.
There you go. Or.
Douchebag Genetics.
Yeah, there you go.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There you go.
Boy Blunder.
Hey,
there you go. Boy Blunder Genetics. I think that's perfect. But yeah, I think it's funny. Yeah.
All right, what time is it? 10:22.
Do a Britney themed thing. Oops, I dusted again. We gotta find a better one.
No, you gotta.
Good.
When she went crazy and shaved her head, which is the best part.
Leave
Who's
poor
that?
Penny alone. That she was a literal fucking slave. I shouldn't have brought her up.
She is, but she literally went insane for a point. I'm happy she's free, like from all her bullshit.
Did any of you guys did you ever post on any of the old forums, the pre-social media era, like IC Mag or Grass
I was
City?
always told to stay away. Like
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't even get High Times to my house. I went to Barnes and Noble and looked. I never bought it. I looked at it and put it down.
Good for you.
I just like looked at I like looking at the pictures. I wasn't just looking at High Times, whatever cannabis
Yeah.
magazine there was. I just enjoyed looking at the pictures.
I used to claim that about Playboy too.
Hey, Playboy's had some
No,
good articles.
You're right. That's I was just gonna say, man. That's the. Oh yeah, I read the articles. Yeah, sure you do. I'm joking. I'm just
Yeah, I didn't see
I
Hunter
get
S. Thompson in High Times.
Didn't he move? Did
yeah.
they sell the Playboy Mansion? I think they sold
Probably.
the
I
Playboy
mean,
Mansion.
yeah. After Hefner died, yeah.
That
He
was,
was kind of creepy in his old age. I mean, he had to take all these drugs to get an erection, and the girls had to take different nights or different girl had to jack them off, and I mean, it's just really. God, I don't want to know. That's like your parents telling you about their sex life or
he
something,
used to have like movie nights at the like
Yeah.
but the thing is Hefner, like, he had his girlfriends, so there was girls there that you couldn't touch. They were like his. It was
You're
funny.
right.
But all
It's
right,
called a harem.
we're gonna shut down the stream. We're just gonna be chilling on Discord. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Scotto. Hit me up. You won. I'm gonna be. Actually, he's here. What did he win? High Desert.
NL5 by skunk number 1, F3 open pollination out of my greenhouse this past spring. I got some 34-year-old seed and want to keep them going. So try them out.
So yeah, I'll be sending you those to
Yeah.
be up on Instagram. Good, Coop.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that's a great combination. See, that was one of Neville's
I was
the
gonna see
seed
if you
bank.
wanted a pack. I have a bunch. I'll send you a couple.
Oh no, that's the only seed I ever bought. So I grew that for several years.
Yeah, fucking
Um,
High Desert hooked it up. He gave me like 130 packs. So if you want a couple, I got you.
oh,
Oh,
I'm
did I
fine.
say skunk 1? I think didn't you say you had the haze? Didn't you have the NL5 haze, Coot?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is the NL5 skunk 1, the Shiva skunk. But yeah, they share
Oh, okay.
mother.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, they're
I,
half the same. Yeah.
I know. I know the story on those.
Um,
Next year I'll have the NL5 haze. I have 50 of those seeds from the same guy, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna do an open pollination of those this spring coming, hopefully, so everything works out.
Please use fulvic acid. It will definitely increase your germination rate.
I will. We talked about that the other day. Yeah, I used
Yeah.
peroxide for the NL5 skunk 1, and
I just I
I
just
have a
heard
friend I
about
gave
that.
some,
Yeah.
and he did a fulvic.
I find that discussion very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, the
he got a better
peroxide. I mean, I
germination
do the
rate.
peroxide.
Well, yeah, and then they have GA, gibberellic acids, that they've been, if they're really old, they
Well,
say.
yeah, but that's next level. I'm just talking something a layperson would have easy access to. Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to keep talking, I don't know. Coop's probably going to stay around for a little bit. Fumi's still here. So yeah, come hang out on Discord. If you want a pack of those seeds, you can come see me. I will be at the Freedom Rally this year. I'll be at Gene Traders the day after the Freedom Rally because they fucking moved it on us. But so everywhere I'll be,